following on from last week's discussion, Andy, you were going to share your experiences of organisations that moved from a cost reduction model to one of more innovation and relationship building when it comes to their supply base. Can you share more?
Yes, I guess that one of the examples that springs to mind straight away is dealing with small parcel deliveries in the US. And I think most of us will appreciate there's probably only two major players in the US. So going to market or your normal approach, I didn't think was appropriate. So it was really about a mixture of going back to basics, but also seeing what innovation we could bring into the supply chain. We couldn't necessarily look at just reducing margins or just reducing costs. It was more about where waste was being built into the supply chain. So in fairness to the provider, they met us with kind of open arms in terms of this approach, because it was going to save them money anyway through efficiencies. And it literally was the brown paper exercise where you chart the journey, as it were, on the wall, and you understand where all the critical control points are in terms of both cost, handling, handover, etc., etc. And I think probably being or having a degree of non-expertise, if you like, within small parcel probably helped, because you could ask probably what other people thought were stupid questions. And in fairness to the provider, they were open to that and open to the challenges. And it worked really well because it was focused on efficiency and not on cost.
What was the experience of the suppliers? How do you think they felt with this approach?
Well, the feedback I got was they were very welcoming of this approach. I think procurement people have probably got a bit of bad press around, it's all about cost. And whilst this was about cost, it was about taking cost out through innovation, through partnership, rather than just reduction of margin from the supplier. Because relationships become very unsustainable when your supply base has no margin to work with. Those people that know me know, one of my stock phrases is the supplier has to make a margin to then reinvest in the relationship. So we took the approach that nothing was sacred, and a lot of the activities were historical. And in all honesty, there weren't many people that knew why we did certain things. So it was almost like starting again. So if you wanted to get the parcel from A to B to C, what's the best and most efficient way? So we adapted, if you like, our way of working to suit the provider rather than forcing the provider to suit our way of working. So whether that be dispatch times, batch sizes, etc., etc. And I think it was a very successful piece of work, and that wasn't down to myself. That was down to the provider, their openness and willingness to listen and be challenged, but also they had the opportunity to challenge us as a customer in terms of our ways of working. Now, as a procurement person, you're an expert in procurement. You're not necessarily an expert in utilities, small parcel, logistics. That's what providers are for. And I've always been open to be challenged by my supply base in terms of, actually, this is what you should be doing. Because
their expertise.
So, it's common sense, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really.
Yeah.
These providers provide this service on a global basis or a national basis across many, many customers, and they'll have many years of experience. So why not tap into your supply base for innovation? And I think that's where relationship management comes to the fore, because in order to benefit from that supplier's insight and knowledge and experience, you need to become more like that customer of choice from their perspective. So, the power of the buyer, I feel it's a myth now. It's about mutual benefit. And
it's about listening as well, isn't it? It's really listening and leaning on their expertise. I 100% agree.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's all about lessons, isn't it? It's all about learning and listening, and taking that experience and then applying it to your own situation.
Yeah.
But you have to be open to that. And I think the most successful organizations are open to challenge and crave, if you like, the innovation from their supply base.
Yeah.
So that would be my experience, if you like, of cost versus relationship stroke innovation models.
Thank you.